Discuss about the standalone component. So let's discuss about the definition first. What is a standalone component? A standalone component is a self-contained, reusable, and typically does not have dependencies on other component or modules. It means all the dependencies will be imported within the component itself, and since it does not have any dependencies with other component or modules, so it can be rendered independent in the applications. Now let's discuss about the key features of standalone components. First point is self-contained. All the dependencies that required for the component will be imported directly within the component, and this component is not dependent on other components. Second point is reusability. If we have created a component that can be reused within the application multiple times, and we can create a library and use with multiple applications together. The third point is encapsulations. So all the logics, like if whatever the HTML we are writing as a template, the styles and the business logic will be written within the component itself. So it's for other people or other application, we will use either component or a selector. So for them, they don't know what is written inside the component itself. That is known as encapsulation. And the fourth point is minimal dependencies. There are possibilities that the component required to make a REST API call, or maybe they required some pipes to convert the data. To make this working, we may require some dependencies with pipes and maybe HTTP modules. That is the reason we have minimal dependencies to work with standalone components. The most important part is independent testing. Before that, we had multiple dependencies with the other component, and that make our testing more complex. With the standalone component, since the component itself is independent, writing a unit test case is very straightforward, and the coverage we can do very easily. Now moving to the next part, when to use the standalone component. The first point, micro front ends. It means for enterprise applications where we have multiple components, to maintain this component is very difficult. In future, if we wanted to update one component, it may break other component or their functionality altogether. So with the standalone component, we can make it micro front-end development, and all the components are independent. So testing and implementations will be also very straightforward. Moving to the next point, the reusable widget. While working with the large applications, we may have to have few common component. Example, we may have a pop-up models, few buttons, maybe login page that is common for multiple application together. With the standalone component, we can create this type of component, and we can reuse multiple places. And fixes the bug is also very straightforward now, because you fix in one place and that will implicate all the places, so that make a standalone component very useful. Now framework agnostic applications. In sometimes you require to have the component in one language and can be used in with multiple other languages altogether. Like example, if you wanted to have a web component, that can be reused with Angular, React, Vue or any other framework. That is also possible with standalone component now. And definitely we have already discussed about independent testing. That is very important functionality we have received from the standalone component. Now let's move to the coding part. The application is running on Angular 19 right now, and I'm trying to create a standalone component. So in Angular 19, if we create a component, by default that will be standalone. So let's start to create a standalone component. I am giving the component name is a feature, and component has been created successfully. Let's see. We don't have any parameter here or any property here that is set as standalone true, because from Angular 19 by default standalone true is default. Now moving to the coding part, I am opening the HTML file, and here just I write this is a feature component. Yes. Now how to reuse this component? If I wanted to use this component, here I have to use the selector. The selector is defined into the component.ts file. Let's try it. Now I am getting the error. How to fix it? We have to import future component, and if I click it here, you notice app component ts has been modified and one line has been added. That's it from our side. If I will save this, and let's go with the page and refresh it. Now refresh this page, and we can see we have feature component. It means it's working perfectly. Now before standalone component, we have to declare the component, the feature component is within the module. Without that we cannot do, and that module can have multiple components, and which component is using this feature component was difficult to identify while looking into the code. But now you can come to this standalone component functionality. You know what all the dependencies we have. We have dependencies with the feature component that is imported here. That's it. Thank you all.